Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we are live on Friday, October 23rd at 11:29 a.m. It is another day and it is almost the end of the month. It's the end of the week. It's the weekend. Thank God it's Friday. I am just like you guys. I love me a good Friday and I love me a good weekend. Now, maybe that's a little bit unfortunate. We should really love the week just as much as we love the weekend. I don't know. I guess that's the prevailing trend. Folks love the weekend more than they love the week, is what it is. Today's topic is yield games, leverage, and APY, the maker and curve effect. I'm going to dive into a little bit more of how to generate yield, the risk analysis, and clearly we're going to get back to the centralized offerings, which I think are really cool nowadays. The more I look into the business model. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel Non-Custodial Swap Exchange for social good. Stop depositing on exchanges. Hold your own crypto. Not your keys, not your crypto. You know the story. You know the drill. Let's rock and roll. Let's bring it over to the main screen. All right, so I got headlines up. Everything's flat. The market's flat. Coronavirus is going up. I think it's going to be a very interesting next couple months. I'm not going to get into politics. I'm not going to get into the virus, but I'm looking at the market. The market is flat, and that's crazy because the market for the last couple months was not flat. It was up day in, day out, whether there was stimulus or there wasn't, whether there was just a hint of stimulus, which literally like 2 days ago, I was it yesterday or the day before, I told you guys it feels different. Something feels different. And I'm going to say it again. It feels different. This is not the way it's been. So something has changed. And this is just, it's not just because like, oh, it's down. It's the combination of all the factors. It's a combination of just my gut instinct from seeing headlines, from seeing the numbers, the charts, the social media rhetoric from very much more astute traditional finance players than myself, talking about bonds, talking about treasuries, talking about politics, talking about stimulus. It is different. Something is different about the equities market. Something's different about the bond market. Something is different. And the story is telling us something. And what does that mean? I don't necessarily know, but I know that it's different, which means I'm happy that I prepared. I'm happy that I spent the entire part of this year doing the right thing and making the right decisions. DeFi and then risk off to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, when the world goes risk off, Bitcoin's gonna fly. Just the perfect sequence of events that played out this year. Woo! Exciting, baby. Who's in the stream today? Nathan's in the house. Can we get some episodes about Tether and the implications on BTC? Well, I don't think there's going to be a huge amount of implications on BTC because they're mutually exclusive, yet in the short term they're correlated because if there's a Tether implosion, that's going to mess up the markets royally. But if there's a Tether implosion, what happens is folks liquidate Tether as best as possible for other assets. So a Tether implosion and a liquidation event where folks are trying to get rid of Tether for pennies on the dollar. Um, like the movie Margin Call, where they're just trying to liquidate a fire sale. That's going to blow the price of Bitcoin through the roof, an explosion of price. But this is a market distortion. In fact, that explosion will be followed by coming back down to reality as the market stabilizes and price appreciation effects start to occur. Now, I don't. This goes into my curve position. I don't want a thing to do with Tether. I don't trust it. I don't want anything to do with it. So I stay away from it as best as I can. Estelios, what's up, my man? Barry, always a pleasure. What do you think about Harvest Finance? What is Harvest? I don't know anything about 1 billion of TVL and Harvest.finance. Let's see. It's probably Harvest.finance because definitely one of those clones This is just a vampire, man. This is the same shit that everyone's been cranking out. Whether it's Seal.finance or Pickle.finance. Fucking $1 billion in TVO. Absolutely ridiculous. By the way, Scripps in the house, always a pleasure. My man. So I have no interest in Harvest.finance, Pickle.finance, Seal.finance. I don't give a crapsicle. I'm going to get off this call. I'm going to go back to work. I'm going to keep my eye on the damn Bitcoin chart. I'm going to keep an eye on the Ren chart. I'm going to keep an eye on the curve chart. I have a small position in Bancor, so I like to keep an eye on it. I have this fifth chart that I keep up, looking at the dollar, looking at bonds every now and then, because this tells me where the whole financial system is heading. And I don't give two crapsicles about this garbage. So what these are is two things. Most of them are garbage. Pickle, Seal, and Harvest may have turned out to be. I don't know about Harvest. I don't know anything about it. But some of them have turned out to be interesting financial experiments. So that's what they are. They're plays on inflation and supply disruption and incentivized supply disruption and encouraged locking, which is supply disruption. And that's all this stuff is, guys. I'm not playing around. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. What I have interest in is protecting the crap out of the gains that I made in the DeFi space and getting yield on them. So that means we're risk off on Bitcoin. At least that's what I'm going to stick to. I have no interest in anything else. About 80% Bitcoin, give or take. Yeah, yeah, give or take. And I have a fair amount of Bitcoin in Celsius and BlockFi. I maxed out 6%. 2.5 Bitcoin for BlockFi, I'll give you 6%. 5 Bitcoin at Celsius will give you 6%. I'm tempted to throw more into Celsius. I happen to like the company a lot, and I think it is a great business model. And I think it turns traditional banks on their head and makes them look pathetic. So kudos to everything that BlockFi and Celsius are doing. You've disrupted the banking system. It is better to give you the money for you to lend it than it is to give a bank of money for them to lend it, because the bank ain't giving you nothing. They're not giving you anything at all. And then to top it all off with Celsius, you could buy gold, Tether Gold. You could buy stable coins, which are pegged to the dollar. We had GUSD, which is Gemini stablecoin, a USDC, which is Coinbase's stablecoin, which have cash reserves, and you're going to get some serious interest. More than Bitcoin, 8% plus. And you're going to compare this to a Chase account? The first thing everyone should be doing is moving a good percentage, a minute, 10, 15%, 20% of cash to Gemini for GUSD, and you throw it in Celsius, or to Coinbase for USDC and you throw it in Celsius, and you're at least getting interest instead of the government taking your money with inflation, because the Federal Reserve can't get interest rates off 0% interest rates. Chapwood Index 10% inflation. I'm not playing around, guys. I'm not playing around. This is not fun and games. This is serious stuff. And these boys in the government are messing with your lives like little puppeteers playing the fiddle. And there's people that are just going to sit back and get, 12 bucks an hour and have payday loans. And then there's people that are going to fight. They're going to get ahead of debt. They're not going to have debt. They're going to save as much as they can, and that's the whole goal. The goal is not to have more than someone else. Everyone's going to have different potential, but the goal is to make the right financial choices, to choose to not have debt, to choose to not live beyond your means, and to choose to spend less than you make, so you can accumulate and generate yield, and then that yield is compounded, and then you have a chance at financial freedom. You guys with me? That's the whole point. It's not about who has more and who has less. It's whether you're doing the process right, whether you're fighting for yourself, or you're just letting the system run you like a puppet. That's my point. And that's what I like to talk about. We're going to have a hot topic today. Sam's in the house. Voyager is like BlockFi. You have to hold VGX to get interest boost. All right. So, but listen, you got, was it Nexo? So there's going to be a lot. And the whole question is, yeah, Alex Mashinsky, I love it. Richard, you're right. I like him. I like the way he talks. I like the business model. I like where he comes from. I really, the more I look into Celsius, the more I like it. And listen to just as you said, Sam, Voyager, Nexo. There's a lot of, and they're just going to keep coming. Why? Because there's trillions of dollars in banks, at least hundreds of billions. I don't know how much cash deposits are prevailing in the U.S. But these companies offering yield on dollars are going to blow the banks out of the water. The second you can see a trend, and it's just the banking, the traditional banking system is done. Is done. Where you give a bank money and you get nothing. No, I want some 8%. If I'm going to give you 100 grand, I want 8 grand a year. No more of this 0.02%. You can drop dead. Chase, HSBC. No, no, not giving me interest. I'm done with you guys. Generally different. What's up? Yes, yes. Sam says BTC gains 5.5 if you hold 10K VGX. Yeah, so that's, I might. So here's where risk analysis comes in. I've done my damn due diligence on Celsius. BlockFi, so I feel comfortable. So the whole point is you have to feel comfortable with a risk that you're taking. And here's the deal. And I feel like Joe Biden when I say here's the deal. Here's the deal. So anytime you do not have your crypto in your hand, you're taking risk. Whether it's an actual meaningful risk to your assets, trivial risk, or it's just psychological. So and that's the whole thing we have to assess, and that's the risk analysis process, and that's the due diligence process, and how comfortable you feel allocating value to a particular place. So I've allocated to Celsius, I've allocated to BlockFi. Sam's bringing up Voyager. I get tempting because that whatever their maximum is for 5.5%, if it's like 2 Bitcoin, I'll throw them 2 Bitcoin, grab another 5.5%. Tempted for Nexo, but their yield's a little low. I might as well just consolidate into. I don't really have a reason not to consolidate into Celsius. I don't need to diversify into another organization for 4%. I could get 4% at Celsius. But Nexo, I can't get 5.5% above my 5 Bitcoin limit at Celsius. But if I can get 5.5 at Voyager, that's a consideration. And I have to take a risk analysis, and I have no idea who they are, so I have to do my due diligence. So I got Curve up here. I want to get into this because this is hot. So I used to have my WBTC, so there's risk there. WBTC is custodianed by BitGo, which is probably going to be bought by PayPal, because PayPal is getting hot on the Bitcoin space. So I don't have much concern about WBTC at all. And I participate in the dark node network for Ren, and Long is brilliant. He's an absolutely brilliant guy, and the team is overwhelmingly transparent. And that's all I have to say about Ren. I think that every once in a while you find an organization of individuals that have the intellectual capacity to produce things that are meaningful, and that's what they want to do. And they want to win. They want to win financially, but they also want to win technologically and productively, and they just want to win the right way. And that's the sense that I get from the Ren team, is they want to win. And that's exciting. So I see very little risk in Ren BTC. I see almost no risk in WBTC. And I see moderate, as in a little bit more than Ren, just a smidge more for Curve. I mean, these boys have put in some serious due diligence. This an effort. This is not a trivial platform. Yeah, I mean the governance and the DAO, and you go to gov.curve.fi. This is not. This is an elaborate, sophisticated operation, and the code is executed by intelligent persons that are likely, quite likely, assuredly likely, smarter than myself with regard to programming capability. I can't do what they do. It would take a long time to learn and get up to speed. I can't do what they do. They're very smart, and that is impressive. And what they've built is impressive, and the yield is impressive, and even the curve and the governance asset is quite impressive. So everything about this is impressive. And the same thing about Maker. So let's take a look and see how much Maker DAI is out there because the number is astounding. This is pretty much all this year. This is like a test. This is a test. This is all a test. I consider so much of crypto a test net. It's proving itself. That's all it is. It's a couple $1 billion. What's a couple $1 billion nowadays? It's a POC. It's a proof of concept. When you got $1 trillion, sure, now it's not a proof of concept. So DAI out there is 937 million, almost a billion. Seems relatively small, but it's a huge number. Seems small because the numbers have gotten so large lately with the $6 trillion print from the monetary debasement from good old Uncle Sam. What's $1 billion? What's $1 billion with a $6 trillion print? So I was holding my capital in Ren, which is producing 7.25% denominated, 7 point and curve, getting in denominated in CRV. So with a 50 chip, that 7.25% was not it was inferior to a choice, albeit that choice is getting diluted a bit because other pools are eating away at the curve gains. But all I'm interested in really right now is the APY. Because for now that this is sustainable. So check this out. So instead of having my value in the Ren pool, I've taken my value and moved it to MakerDAO, put it here, and I was able to mint 15,000 DAI, and I was able to take that DAI and put it into the compound pool for 45% yield on CRV and 4.66%. So Oasis charges 4%. There's a 4% stability fee. So I'm getting, it's rolling 4%. And I was waiting for this pool to get over 4.66%. So as long as this pool is above 4.66%, I'm going to break even more or less on the stability fee for my leveraged DAI position. So bear in mind that's the cool thing. That's why Maker changes everything. It's basically a loan. I'm borrowing 15,000 for 4%, and I still have control and it's mostly possession of my Bitcoin, which is so cool. And that's what DeFi is offering. I have a leverage position, and I'm generating yield on a leverage position. And I'm actually generating yield on a leverage position that's more than the yield I would generate on the base position. So the APY covers the stability fee of 4%. So that means I don't have to adjust or lose value. And I'm getting 44.96% on the 15 chip. There's a 15 chip in there. So that's about 7,500 a year. 7,500 a year pays a good portion of 2 lease payments. And what I end up doing is I recycle it into VE curve because I have all the interest in the world. So I have about it's 150 a day. I don't know, something like that. But here, let's look at the numbers now at the bottom. So I want to own as much VECRV as possible because that gives me a proportional ownership of the daily interest or the daily fees earned on transactions. 50% of all transactions go to the E-curve holders. This is incredible. We have the opportunity to own 50% of the transaction fees for the Curve platform, which is basically the FX, the Forex of the crypto space. Oh, goodness gracious. So I'm using my Bitcoin to get leverage to provide liquidity so I could basically maintain, if not hopefully grow to some degree, my proportional ownership of the Curve platform's transaction fees. That's how you put it. That's how you break shit down. That's how you break it down to understand, boys and girls. Woo! What am I missing in the stream? What am I missing? Stelio says if I have deposited in Celsius and I get a backed up loan with my Bitcoin collateral, doesn't mean that potentially my monthly earned interest can cover. No. Well, so that's why comp was hot. Back when DeFi started to get crazy during the summer, that's called a carry trade, where you're able to get more interest on the loan amount. Uh, well, does that mean that potentially my monthly? Well, you're not. So that's not going to happen from Celsius. The interest you earn from Celsius is not going to be more than your loan amount. But there's no reason you can't find. Look, I'm getting 40% from Curve. This is clearly covering my loan amount. I'm paying 4% interest here on Maker, and I'm getting 44% for 50%. I'm getting 50% interest APY here from Curve. So this is a carry trade. My interest is greater than my loan amount. How about them apples, boys and girls? So that's how you do it, and just consider your risk. Now, clearly, this is a non-trivial amount of money because I have the risk versus the reward. So here's an interesting one. Look, I have actually, I think, changed my risk profile. So previously, I had all the Bitcoin here in REN. That means all my risk was associated with the Curve pool. So now I have risk applied to Maker, and I have a reduced amount of risk applied to the Curve pool. So I only have the 15 chip allocated to Curve, so that's less risk at the Curve level and an equivalent risk at the MakerDAO level. So we got a platform that has a billion, and I'm very much over collateralized. In order for my position to be liquidated, Bitcoin would have to be $5,000. Bitcoin is currently $13,000. That's my risk analysis. What are the odds Bitcoin becomes $5,000? Come on, guys. Who's laughing with me on that one? So I don't like to take risk at all. So I could clearly go in here and generate another like 15 grand. No. Well, see, look, I could generate another 15 and Maker will give it to me. But that means I could if Bitcoin drops to 10,000. So if Bitcoin goes from 13,000 to 10,000, I would lose a fair amount of Bitcoin. 15%. The liquidation is what? Liquidate 13%. I'd lose 13% plus. So, I don't doubt I'd lose 50% of my Bitcoin, but I definitely lose like 15, 20 grand, or at least 15 grand. So I don't want to be liquidated. Hoo-hoo, please no liquidation. So I keep extremely over collateralized to make sure my liquidation price is so unimaginably achievable. $5,000 is not achievable. So I could probably I could grab another 5,000 DAI and get 33% more yield from Curve. I got 15 chip in here. I get another 5,000. That's a 33% increase in the quantity of returns I'm getting. Merely by taking more leverage, taking a little bit more risk. So instead of a $5,000 liquidation price, it's $6,000. So frankly, $6,000. I might actually just do this. What the hell? Bitcoin is not going to 6,000. It's not getting cut in half. No. The global macro financial climate? No. No. So that's the type of risk I would want to take because I just see it as absurd. 7,500 be a $7,000. 10,000. You have another $10,000 and still have a liquidation price of $8,000. Bitcoin would have to lose $5,000 for my 4.5 Bitcoin to be in jeopardy. Yeah, leverage is good. Just over collateralize. I think I'm a little too safe right now. Little too safe, $5,000 liquidation. And I'll jack this up a little bit and get some yield and maintain my VE curve proportional ownership because these I want a proportional ownership of that. I want a piece of that 24K a day. That's what I want. Can you imagine? Imagine this goes up to a billion or $10 billion a day for a $5 trillion crypto market. $10 billion a day, and this is 2.5, $10 million a day in daily earnings, and I'm getting all right. Oh, I'm getting like 0.0001% of the daily earnings, 2 grand a day. That'd be so crazy. Can you imagine? So obviously it's going to get diluted over time, and as this thing's pulling in like $10 million a day, more and more people are going to lock VE curve. But the whole point is, if I own 0.0001% of VE curve and it's pulling in 2 grand a day, oh, that changes everything. That's exciting. What am I missing in the stream? Max is 6.5% Bitcoin through Voyager. No amount of the Bitcoin you could put in. Yeah, I'd have to look into it. I have to understand more of the company. Clearly, Celsius and Mashinsky are serious, and I'm no. That's not to discredit the potential for Voyager to be a serious operation, but that's part of your risk analysis. Never do anything without doing extensive and effective due diligence. I'm not talking about the amount I borrow for my initial collateral. I'm not quite following you there. I don't follow you, Stelio. Sorry. So is my initial BTC used as collateral still producing earnings? Yes, it is. It's still. So your Stelio, so your initial BTC is still producing earnings. You're using it as collateral to get another loan, but the Celsius is still lending it out. Actually, that's a good question. I, I take it back. Clearly, you want to look into how they handle their policy because that is a policy, and that's probably a little bit of increased risk on their regard. But they're probably not lending. They're probably not lending your Bitcoin out. I'm pretty sure they're using your Bitcoin as collateral for a loan themselves to lend it out. I don't know. You can only imagine, but that's their business model, and that's the fact that they've made it work is impressive, and it's a business model to be envied. So that's the deal, guys. Protect your gains. Don't gamble. Harvest, pickle, seal. It's not about being rug pulled, but it's just about spending your time thinking that you're somehow going to turn $100 into $1 million. It's just not realistic. The appropriate thing to do is to accumulate value from work, because we all work, and to allocate it properly. So the first thing you need to do is learn the proper methodology for managing your own finances, healthy financial management. Spend less than you make, accumulate, pay off debts. Frankly, debt is okay, but you want it to be manageable debt. You never want to have more debt than you could possibly pay. You never want to accumulate debt. You always want to be in a position to be able to pay off debt. See, the best debt. I got two cars, two finance payments on the cars. I could pay off my cars. I choose not to, and I choose to pay the finance payments because I take my money and I'm actually making more money between Curve and Celsius and BlockFi. I make more money than my finance payments. So the money that I have is making more money than my finance payments on the cars. And if I paid off the cars, I have an incentive not to pay off the cars. It's better that I don't pay off the cars. Now, there's a strategic financial choice. So if that this is really the only this is when debt is healthy. If otherwise the goal is to pay off the debt and not have the debt. Um, but even if you don't have enough to pay off the debt, it's still okay to have that because shit, we all need a car. I don't know, but you guys get my point. The whole point is to have healthy financial management, to focus on trying to make the best decisions possible, and head in the right direction of attaining strategic and lucrative financial positions. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, thank you very much for your time. It's 11:59. Let's drop it a little bit early today, Friday, October 23rd. Smack those thumbs up buttons. Tell everyone and your mother to subscribe, please. Let's get some people on here. Let's help as many people as possible. That's the whole point. Good questions, good answers, good serious financial strategy with extensive due diligence, because that's what we do. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your Friday, and I'm going to catch you Monday with some new hot stuff, because that's where we're headed. That's what we're going to do. See you then. Peace.